you guys want to come back later, we'll have it online for you too. Um, okay, so let's get started. Close this here. So it's the portfolio info session for CSUF. We're going to cover um, a couple different programs. So we're going to do game art, animation, immersive media, entertainment, art, and animation, and illustration. And the faculty from those programs are going to talk as well. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A, and I'll start in for the game art. So also before we actually get to that is there's prerequisite courses that you guys have to think about before you apply to the programs. So students, and this is for all the programs, have the same requirements. So students are required to have completed the following prerequisite courses with a combined GPA of 3.0 and a minimum of C in each course. So that's Art 103, 104, 107 A and B. And then what that means is that combined, you need to have above a 3, and you need to have passed the class. So you have to have a C or above in any of those. So if you have like an A in one, an A another, and a C, and then another A, you would be above a 3, right? So you just have to think about that math for those four courses. Sometimes students take courses at other schools. Sometimes students take courses here. It just what it gets to is the eventual total for all those. And then on top of that, students are also required to do 117, which you need to pass, which is a C or above. You also can't be in progress for these classes, so you have to have the classes done and have a grade for them. And then you also, if you're transferring in, you need to have everything in your TDA. So when you go online on TitanNet, you can check to see what's in your TDA by doing a what if for the major. So for example, you could look up EAA, put your info in, and then it will show you in these different chunks the classes that you've taken, and then if you know what your grades are and what the total GPA is. Eligibility and acceptance. Upon admission to the university as an art major, students are placed in the bachelor's, the BA degree, whether entering as a freshman or transferring from another college or university. So when you join CSUF, you come in as a studio art major, and then from that, you can then go into the other BFAs. So everyone comes in at the same level. To qualify and apply to the bachelor, the BFA, students must pass 5 prereqs. That's what we just talked about, and then do the portfolio. To each turn a BFA, students must achieve a C or better in all the art courses required for the degree. All that means is that if you get a C minus, you got to retake the class. So C minuses are basically the cutoff point, and you have to do C or above for all of them. Each concentration has its own portfolio requirements that we cover, and you can see the catalog if you click on that link below. We'll post it in the chat later of the different classes that you would take. And we'll talk about that stuff today. One of the things is unit caps. This really, I think, scares a lot of students, but it's really important that we talk about it. Students have completed a minimum of 30 units, so you need to have a minimum of classes. You can't just, you have to have these core classes that you've passed, the 103, 104, 107 A and B, and 117, and then also 30 units total. But generally, by the time you finish those other classes, you'll have 30 units. Students may not exceed the maximum number of 96 units and should plan on applying before they reach the unit cap. So this is the one where we have some wiggle room here, and we have can make exceptions for students that are transferring in, or maybe are changed majors, or have a good rationale for going above the unit cap. So if you're in that territory and you're worried about it, I would just reach out to one of us and we can help you with that. Okay, so it's not something to freak out about. It's just make something that you'd want to be proactive in and talk to one of the faculty members about that. Eligibility and acceptance. So submissions. Students may apply up to 2 times to be admitted to a BFA in a concentration. If a student submits a portfolio for a second review, it must be within 2 semesters of the first portfolio submission and before finishing the 96 unit count towards the degree. Applicants who are not accepted after the second attempt will not be admitted into the program. Applicants are encouraged to meet with faculty advisor in area of concentration to verify that they meet the criteria and unit count and discuss their goals prior to applying to the program. So if you're, if you don't get in the first time, it's good to kind of meet with us and talk to us about what's going on with your portfolio. And again, with the 96 unit count, it's something that you can talk to us about if you're going over on your second time. Portfolio work. Students may not use AI-generated artwork or written statements in their portfolio submission. All portfolio pieces are to be original to the applicant. Works can be created using traditional media, digital tools, game engines, or a combination of these methods. For digital works, students can use their software apps of their choice, Procreate, Photoshop, Illustrator, Maya, etc. Students are strongly encouraged to submit their best and most current work with their portfolios, focusing on the concentration. So animation, game art, illustration. And then fan art generally is discouraged. We want to see your own ideas as much as we can. So the deadline is Monday, October 6th at 5 p.m. They'll be open, I think should be open soon, or if they're not open already, they'll be open tomorrow. Info will be sent out to students from the art department that will include a link to this recording on YouTube and connect with other CSUF art students on the club for and their Discord. So Pencil Knowledge Club, ACM Graph, we are all great clubs. I think there's also illustration too, but all these clubs are great for you to meet people if you haven't already joined them and get to know other students that are focusing on the same stuff, and they can also get feedback about your portfolio. So just see there's some comments. Okay, great. Thanks, Eric. Okay, so I'm going to start with game art, and then I'll talk a little bit about kind of what we do. Carol couldn't make it tonight, but Eric is here and I'm here. We can talk to you guys about it. So, game art, animation, immersive media. So, game art, animation, immersive media, or GAME, concentration offers undergraduates an innovative and comprehensive education in game art and design, animation, virtual production, and virtual reality, immersive storytelling. Students gain a foundation of traditional art practice as well as industry standard software and game engines with a dynamic and collaborative setting to prepare them for careers that embrace art and technology. Admission to the game art, animation, immersive media concentration requires application, artist statement, and portfolio submission. The faculty review committee seeks applications that show creativity, problem solving, and technical skill. Students are encouraged to have a basic knowledge of 3D animation, modeling software, and art game engines before applying. The portfolio will include 10 to 12 examples of your best work submitted in a PDF. The portfolio is representative of the original work and should be from the following. So observational drawing, so 3 to 4 examples, figurative life drawing, 3 to 4 examples, and creative and technical work, 3 to 4 examples. Students are strongly encouraged to submit work that relates to the concentration, focusing on game or art design, and fan art is discouraged. But working in known franchise styles, such as World of Warcraft, Outer Worlds, League of Legends is welcome. So by styles, what she means, or what we mean, is that you're not copying, exactly from the game, but you're using stylistic kind of styles that kind of stems from that actual game, right? So you might have more stylized work, which is totally fine, and we'll talk about that a little later. So the first one, observational drawings and sketches from real life that show an understanding of 2D design principles, including perspective, shape, form, and light and shadow, composition. Examples can be stylized for animation in games, including exterior houses, buildings, and props. And so we got a couple of examples here that you can see. Here's some more. Okay. More examples can include furniture, interior, exterior. Sometimes I've got my thing blocking the exterior isometrics or vehicle stylized for games. These are 3D renders with paint overs. So let me go here. And then we get into figurative and life drawing. So drawings and sketches that capture the human from both nude and clothed, portraying a variety of poses. The examples should demonstrate a solid understanding of anatomy and form, can be stylized for animation and games. Light and shadow is encouraged. So here you can see the work is a little bit more rendered. Okay. And then we get to creative and technical work. So examples that demonstrate skills in game art and design, 3D modeling, digital sculpting, character props and environments, 3D animation, rigging, game development, immersive media, VR and AR, Unreal Engine, blueprinting, virtual production, and coding and scripting. So it's a really broad kind of topic when it comes to what we, we're pretty open to almost anything when it comes to this stuff. But you can see some examples from student work that is produced in 255A. So 255A is our intro to 3D modeling class. And that's a good place maybe to generate new work that you might use for your application. You don't need to take that class in order to apply, but you can see some of the work here. For example, on the left here is a turntable. You could produce that for the project from taking that class. And then on the right are some examples of different models. This other one too is also from that class too. We also have 317D, which is a new class that Eric developed, where you can also generate models and elements that you could share with us in the portfolio process. Here's some more examples of character design, prop design, character design, and a 3D render on the right there. So we like to see both. If you have some design concept work, if you have some 2D work that goes along with the 3D you're doing, I think is really great to include as well. On the more technical side, so this is example of a substance designer um, a project, and basically substance designer is kind of like a schematic system that you can create procedural textures with. It's really cool. So this might be something you might work on at home and then upload and show us what you did, show us how it works. This is Substance Painter. So this is a surfacing program. So you can see all the different layers on the right and then the render on the left. This is also something that you could share and show us that you've been working on. And then finally, there's some concept art that goes into some designs that you might want to make. So not everybody has a chance to take a 3D class yet. So maybe you don't have that much 3D stuff. You can also show stuff that you might want to turn into 3D. Okay, anyway, so that's thank you from us, and then look at a couple portfolios next. But we appreciate very much that you guys are applying, and then you're here and you're interested, and we want to make sure we answer any questions for you today. Okay, so let me stop the share for a second. Okay. And then let me share some portfolios. Okay. Let me open this up. Okay. Okay, so this is an example, a game portfolio that one of our students applied with. And you can kind of see how it's laid out. It's really clear, game art, immersive media, and then we have the name. And then as you go through, it's really kind of clear their work that they're doing. Sometimes we'll have students that also have paint or color in their work for their observational. And then I like to think like you can have, the most important thing is that it's clear that you understand perspective, you understand anatomy, you understand the base kind of concepts that you learn in the core classes leading into our program. It's great if you can have a peel on top of that, and having that more kind of aesthetics that go into a really awesome image. But the real core of it, does it make sense, right? So here you can see it with Dominic, he has really great understanding of anatomy for sure in the work. And then here at the bottom, he's got some links to animation, right? So you have links here you can click on, and that could take you through it. And then he has some renders. So these are some Maya substance work. So basically, this is kind of considered an isometric render or close to it, that shows his understanding of basic modeling and UV mapping and textures. All right, here's another render. And then he has a sculpt that he did as the base here. And you can see he has a video of his turntable here. So if you click on it, we can get to that. What you don't want to do is put a video. You can't put a video in a PDF. So make sure you don't do that, because sometimes that will corrupt the PDF. So if you want to have a video like a turntable, just make sure you have a link to it. Okay, and let me just share one more. So this one is Jinkies. Okay, so same thing, really clear. And then she's got it in sections, so we really know what she's working on. So we got some observational drawing here. Again, very clear understanding, a little bit of, it's a very complicated image here with a lot of different kind of angles, and everything's making sense from a perspective standpoint. Here she's got some examples of drawings as animals as well. She has an environment study that she did. All right, so you can see the different tone values in these images. And then figurative and life drawing. So here, these are more gestures. So sometimes it's nice to put how long you took on a particular drawing. That way we can kind of judge it based on the speed it took to get to a particular image. But again, it's really quickly you're understanding that she understands anatomy and appeal. Okay, and then she's artistic and technical work. So here she's got some really basic, she worked on a group project together with some students, so she has some textures she made. She has some model with the wireframe that she made, and then she has some lighting work that she did for the environment. And then again, some textures and model. Again, some more textures here. All right, so we're getting to see them with the technical side and then also the render. And I think this last one she has is some concept work. Cool. All right. So let me just stop there. All right, sweet. So that is my spiel on the game art program. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric and Kathy and Hunter, do we do a Q&A at the end, or do we do Q&A after each program?
At the end, but we're all monitoring the chat, so we're answering questions as they come
Okay,
as
cool.
well.
All right, so awesome. So if you guys have more questions, feel free to ask on the chat or follow up at the end. Okay, so Kathy, do you want to take over?
Sure. So I'll talk about the EAA portfolio reviewing submissions and concentration. So one thing also just to note regarding the 96 unit cap, I believe there's going to be a form attached to the application if you are over that unit cap, so that you can put it in writing what the situation is. All right, so with EAA, it's very much the same as last year. Some of you I know are applying a second time. But basically, we're breaking down into 3 categories: the observational, the figure drawing, and then creative expression. So I brought some examples to show you. In a nutshell, I just wanted to point out real quickly is your reviewers don't have a lot of time. So you want to wow them. You do not want to put anything in that weakens your portfolio. So we're not as strict as far as like 3 to 4 drawings exactly, because some students might have a page, a really great day of gesture drawing, and they have a page full of really great gestures. It might be 20 gestures on that page. But do not give us too much. Your reviewers don't have a lot of time. What you want to do is wow your reviewers really quickly, because we have to go really fast. So in the observational, we're looking at things that show understanding of perspective. A lot of times students will put in still lifes where you have a vase and a cup, and the ellipses on the vase and the cup are not, they're not showing accurate perspective. So do not put something that does not show accuracy. You need to be accurate for animation. You might have beautiful lighting, beautiful color, but if your perspective is off, that's not going to help you. That's going to hurt you. So accuracy is the name of the game here. Some people go out and do still life drawings, perspective drawings from coffee shops or wherever they are. That's great to see. We also want to see that you're into this art form, that you feel strongly about it. So if you are doing sketches from life, like you have a sketchbook with you outside of your class, we want to know that you're practicing also outside of class. So it's always good to show work that you've done through sketchbooks, etc. Figure drawing, we're looking for construction. Now I show this book every year, pretty much. This is Glenn Vilppu Drawing Manual. You can look Glenn Vilppu up online, Google, but he has a very clear way of teaching drawing, and it's gesture and structure. So we look a lot at gesture, structure. We look for accuracy and proportion. And you will see when I show the examples more about what I'm talking about. Creative expression is more open-ended. Everybody has different strengths. Sometimes people are really great with color and creating neat characters. So that's more open-ended, what you put in the creative expression. You might have story ideas, but no fan art, as was mentioned before. We do want to see your originality. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to start sharing screen right now. Let's get to my desktop too. All right. Can everyone see my desktop? I have Blake's portfolio up.
Yeah, we see it.
All right. So I'm just going to go through here to kind of show you. So observational studies. What we see is Blake is looking towards accuracy in observational drawing here. So he's working towards spending time doing like perspective drawing. He's working on it. Now, this is not totally refined. We don't need to see cleaned up line drawings necessarily. Some of you may be doing cleaned up line drawings, but that's not what we're really looking for. We're looking to see that you're working towards understanding perspective. And sometimes you do have to work rough to kind of figure it out. So that's fine. This, I think, may have been in a zoo or something like that, which is fine. And probably in a dorm room. We're seeing that the student is working toward perspective drawing. All right, so let's go to figure studies. So the student is working on construction and weight. You see how we can feel the pull of the strap, okay? And working toward accuracy and proportion, understanding center lines, how forms connect into each other, seeing how the hips fitting in. The student is working towards it. So we can see in the figure drawing, student is working toward constructing. All right, creative expression. Turnarounds. Now I'm going to encourage y'all to put turnarounds in your creative expression, because that shows us that you're willing to sit down and draw a character multiple times from different views and get it right. We are trying to prepare you. These portfolio reviews are also very educational opportunities. And there's times when I've had students at different universities and whatnot senior year, and I'll tell them, you need to rework these turnarounds, and they'll look at me and say, "Oh, I hate drawing." And, you know, here they are seniors, and no one really told them, hey, you really need to be willing to commit and to doing things like this to have a future as a person who draws an animation. So for that reason, we do encourage turnarounds to show you're working towards it. This one also shows creative expression. This is a personal character, personal idea of the students, some expression sheets, and nice like story ideas, and very nicely presented. Okay, so the creative work on this one was pretty strong. And we can see the student again is working towards studying drawing pretty intensively. We see like, again, these are not clean lines, but we can see the student is searching for those forms underneath and trying to see how things connect, okay? So this is one example. All right, another example. Let's take a look here. All right. So again, observationals. This is a student is understanding form and dimension here. Okay. Again, still life, student is working towards understanding accuracy. Now, even if things aren't exactly perfect, that's okay. We want to see that you're working towards it. And to be honest, this is a pretty competitive program. So I can never tell students what the standard is going to be any given semester because I don't know who's applying. I don't know how many people are applying. But generally, it's been, I think, about 50-50, sometimes less than 50% get in. So working towards observing things and studying. Okay, here now we have a student really working toward understanding structure, gesture. These are quick sketch. These are all done really quickly, but the student is working towards understanding gesture, structure, attitude. We're seeing a lot of the attitude of the poses. A sketchbook, right? Students going out and working and having fun. You can see the students having a good time doing this. Okay. Just working toward it. And then now, okay, we're getting into creative works here. So here the student again is somebody who likes to draw a lot. I can see this and is summing out some ideas, playing with color work. A lot of creative expression work here. Turnaround. Again, the student is working towards doing a turnaround. We want to see that you're committed to doing this because to prepare you for the long run, it's not an easy field, but if you're passionate about it, we want to see, you know, your work and that you're really working toward it and committed. Okay, so that is a second portfolio. I have a third one to show. Okay, so this one, very strong figure drawing. So this I know the student has been studying figure drawing for a long time because figure drawing, and I encourage this to students, it's not only what you're doing in your class. A lot of times students will put pieces in their portfolio and say, look, I did this in my class last year. In animation, you need to be working outside of the class. If you're going to be a great musician, for example, you go to your teacher, you learn things in class, but when you get really good is when you're practicing outside of class. So I can tell this student draws a lot, even outside of class. I can see the student has spent a lot of time learning about proportion, structure, and the flow, trying to get the flow and how the forms fit together, some anatomy. We're seeing iliac crest here, direction, perspective. So we're seeing that this student has been working toward this for a long time. These are quick sketches. But these are quick sketches, but I see this is a student who's been really trying to understand for a while about anatomy, as well as gesture, structure, direction, perspective for short and pose. And again, these portfolios that I'm showing you, there may be several drawings on one page. That's fine. Okay, yeah, really working toward balance, understanding balance here. Observational. So the student is working on studying perspective and taking time to do different angles. So it's more observational. Creative expression. Okay, so now we're getting some more creative work ideas, the students' ideas and color sense. We're seeing, now this is not a full turnaround, but this character, front 3/4 and back 3/4, are showing me that this student, again, the figure drawing is showing through in this character, this partial character turnaround, because we can see the balance. This character's weight is properly balanced with the whip, although the hips are shifted forward for the attitude of the pose. It's well balanced. Weight is a very important thing in animation. Nice character expressions, quickly done. Again, accuracy and fun. Even like back to this accuracy. We're seeing accuracy even in this, in the creative work. Fun color work ideas. Yeah, exploring ideas. So those were the portfolio examples that I wanted to share. I'm going to stop share. And one thing I wanted to point out real quickly, because this I think is very important, is that a lot of times students, this is all an educational opportunity. We're all here to help you. The faculty, we're here. And the portfolio reviews, we handle them very much like it would be in a studio. You need to wow your reviewer right away, because we get a lot of portfolios and we don't have a lot of time to review them. So you want to put your best foot forward. You want to present well. Sometimes we'll get a PDF where I have to really zoom out or zoom in on one page of that PDF. If you can keep things as consistent as possible in your presentation, that makes it easier for your reviewer. You want to impress your reviewer. And show your skills, your accuracy, your passion. But what happens is, if you do not get in, that does not mean that you do not have a future in animation. Even if you don't get in the second time, that does not mean you don't have a future in animation. A lot of times portfolio reviews are a good way to gauge where you stand and also where your passion is. Because like I said, sometimes when I've told students, this is how you can improve, students might say, no, I'm not that into it. And others, when you learn about how you can improve, you're like, yes, I'm totally into this. So, so if you don't get in the first time or even the second time, it does not mean you don't have a future in animation. It just means if you really want to keep working at this, it's very competitive. And in this particular situation, if you didn't get in, you may get in somewhere else. Or, there's, it happens. It's not uncommon for great artists to not have their portfolio, not get into something, even though they've presented a really nice portfolio. Okay, so I think that's almost all. We don't want to see stylized life drawings. So I wanted to point that out. In EAA, when we're looking at life drawings, we're not looking for stylized, we're looking for accuracy. You can put stylized drawings in your creative expression, but we are looking for accuracy in your drawings. Okay, I think
Kathy, we did have a question in the chat. For
sure.
observational studies, can they include head or hand studies?
They can. I think those would probably be more appropriate for figure drawing, but you can. So if somebody, I'm guessing, and I don't know the answer to this, and also Jordan, you're part of the whole conversation too. So sometimes we get questions where we need to kind of ponder, like, well, this is something we haven't dealt with before. But I know that sometimes students may not have as much strong observational work, which I showed portfolios here where we saw animal drawings in life drawing. Sometimes people will put some animal drawings in figure drawing, life drawing. It's acceptable to put something in observational that that shows your skill, like you're really working on this, you're good at this, but we do want to see perspective. So head and hands, don't let that replace, like if you're doing perspective studies, don't let it replace that. We want to see that you're understanding and working towards all these skills necessary for animation. And then Jordan, if you have anything to add, feel free.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, in terms of perspective, it can be tricky to master when you're just starting out, and you don't have to be perfect at perspective when you're applying, but as long as you understand the basics, like Kathy was saying, and you're working towards that mastery, then I would say you're on the right track. And yeah, then you will probably be good. In terms of books to add, I know you mentioned books earlier. I don't have them in front of me, but I'll go ahead and drop these in the chat. I really like the Morpho book series for figure drawing. It's a series of 9 different books. Each one focuses on a different type of thing. There's one for muscles, there's one for fat and skin folds, there's one for mammals as well. And the other one that I wanted to add was Figure Drawing for Artists by Steve Huston or maybe Houston. But he also approaches the book in terms of drawing structurally as well as with gestures. So there's a lot of 3D shapes going into the way that he approaches the figure drawing book, which is what we're looking for in the portfolio, like Kathy said, is that you're applying these 3D construction methods to your figures.
It's great. Steve Houston has a book. I didn't know Steve Houston has a book. He taught figure drawing at Disney and Warner Brothers. So he's wonderful. There's another book. I'm going to hold it up to the camera real quickly. This one is fairly inexpensive, as I recall, Bridgman's Life Drawing. And Bridgman, some people will say, oh, his drawings aren't very pretty. That's okay. They don't have to be pretty. We're looking at structure. And he's really good with balance, rhythm, like gesture. I'll just kind of find a page or two to show you from the Bridgman book. Looking at balance, how and mechanics of the human figure, how we can stand, and sometimes we're leaning onto a prop or something, a stool. If we're leaning on something, that's all part of the pose. Okay, here's some of his nice rhythms. And he treats the figure also as architecture. Here's more of his balance. And for me, okay, let me get this. I think you can maybe kind of see balance, and he talks a lot about balance, things like that. But I drew from this book, like I think I drew every page one summer when I first started working in the studio. Someone told me about George Bridgman and I got the book, and I think I drew from it like every page, and it really sunk in, and it was not an expensive book. So yeah. And I think that might be, oh, some people might ask about videos. So, because that's a question that comes up. If you have something really good that you've animated, you can put that in. You could put a link to that. We don't want to see that you took an intro to animation class and did the basic bouncing ball and that you did the basic exercises. If you're going to put in something, any kind of link to animation, make it good. We want to see your imagination. We get some really fun things where students may have done something in their intro to animation class that's really creative. So if you have something you feel really proud about that you've animated, you are welcome to put a link to that.
I guess last thing to add that we kind of touched on earlier, but just to reiterate, we're looking for quality over quantity with these. Wouldn't you agree, Kathy? So if
Absolutely.
you have a few pages where maybe the figures are just okay, they're not your strongest work, you don't need to pad your portfolio out with those. Just like if you're thinking that more things will impress people more, stick to just a few strong pieces rather than trying to bloat your portfolio with a bunch of things that you're not as proud of. Because again, you have a very limited time to wow us because we're going through so many of these. So stick to just stuff that you're really, really feeling confident about.
Yes, thank you, Jordan. That's a great point.
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, sorry, because I think it'll be a little tricky to type it. But I want to ask in terms of like a character sheet or a character turnaround, if we can't fit, let's say, the entire character because we have some stronger gestures, would it be okay if like parts of it is cut off? For example, only has the upper body, but we're not able to show the back of the leg, let's say, but we still have the front of the leg showing. Would that kind of like hurt that character turnaround or character sheet? Especially since one of the examples you shown was kind of just two sides.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understood the question exactly, but
Do you
the
mean a
example,
turnaround that's just waist up? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, or I guess I should say the difference, or what's the difference between a character sheet and turnaround? Because like one of the examples, it just had the back and front of a character, right?
yeah. So a turnaround is a character that you're seeing from different views. So in that case, there were only two views, but they were really well done. So this is another example where you're going to need to edit yourself and figure out what your strengths are. So this student probably knew, and it's also a matter of time. Not everybody has a lot of time to do all 5 views. You know, you may not have time to do all 5 views. Those were 2 really good views that also showed a good understanding of the anatomy. So that was fine. That was very good. So as far as expression sheet, so because there's different terminology used, but expression sheet could be something where the character's in action or showing faces or attitude, like the character might be engaging with another character or something like that. Those are welcome too, if you have those. But I would say a turnaround would show more of the nuts and bolts skills. So in this case, let me look at Luis's again. I think in Luis's, so let me share Luis's again. This was a very well done portfolio because like this, there's not a huge amount on here, but what's here is good. So we're seeing some good drawings and good structure, good understanding of weight, and some fun expressions here. They're nicely done. So there's not a lot here, but it's well done. We do like to see the whole figure, the whole from head to toe. We like to see the whole thing. Let's see what else. So here, like figure drawings, we're seeing the whole thing because that shows us the whole attitude of the pose. There's another instructor named Carl Gnass, Karlgnass. He may have some books out, but he talks about something called spirit of the pose. He calls it the spirit of the pose, where you're really getting the whole attitude and you need to show that whole figure to show that. So we're seeing like attitude here, you know, in this pose, and we're seeing balance and weight. We're seeing attitude. Look at the hand. You know, we're seeing attitude. We're seeing what's going on here. These are dynamic. These are dynamic. So it's nice to show dynamic work and the whole figure on there. I hope this is helping. Is that helping to answer your question, Elias?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, because I was kind of working on something similar to what you showed, but I tried squeezing in another pose that was like a third 3/4 behind angle. The problem was that I couldn't fit it all, so the legs were cut out. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if that's a good idea.
You gotta, what I would say for that, because I get this a lot, you're gonna need to go the extra mile. And either, are you doing this digitally or on paper?
Digitally.
Okay, so you're gonna need to cut and position things to show what you can do. That's what we want to see. Cutting, if the reason is that you can't fit it on is because there's not enough space on the page, but it's really good and you want to show it, find a way to fit it in there. You're going to need to cut, paste, compose things so we can see your best work. Now, I don't know, sometimes, like I said, sometimes we don't see full-on turnarounds. It may be a partial turnaround, but it's showing really good work and going in that direction. So if, let's say you're doing a turnaround and you feel like, I'm really good with the front and side view, but I'm having a harder time with the 3/4 view, and you don't have time, don't put in the 3/4 view. We don't want to see we want to see your best. And that's when people do put in something that may not be quite as strong as the rest of the portfolio, that a lot of times reviewers will look at that one thing as like, oh, no, it was that one thing that brought the whole portfolio down. So as Jordan said, quality over quantity.
Kathy, we had another question. Are comics / sequential art encouraged for the creative expression?
Sure. I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah, we've
I
seen.
would agree. Yeah, I come from a comics background myself, so I personally would be excited to see that. And I think there are a lot of translatable skill sets between them because it's such a narrative focused medium,
Mhm.
and it would be relating to your storytelling ability within art. So I would say yes.
Mhm. Absolutely. And remember those figures. We were actually just this morning, several students, a few of you who are here, we did an interview with an animator, and people asked his advice. And the first thing he said was life drawing, no matter what, life drawing. So don't forget those figure drawings to put your best foot forward.
All right. So maybe we could switch over to Hunter and illustrations. Is that okay, Kathy and Jordan?
Sure.
Awesome. And if y'all have more questions, just hold on to them to the end. We'll answer everything then. Okay, Hunter, are you all ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, take it away.
All right. Can I share my screen here? Can you guys see my screen? Do you guys see the requirements on the side and notes side?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
see it.
Okay, let me switch them. Is that better?
Yeah, it's just a
All
full
right.
screen of the portfolio review thing now.
Perfect. So last year I noticed that Mia and Carol used the same PowerPoint template. So this year I changed the color so that it doesn't look the same. I changed it to orange and blue. All right. So our requirements, we kind of talked about it already. Illustration, we have different requirements. A little bit, we have an artist statement of 500 words, which I believe game also has. And we have a different number of portfolio pieces. So I'll talk about that. So the purpose of the review is to make sure you have the prerequisite foundational skills, or that you're working towards the basic foundational skills so that we can see that you enjoy drawing, you have an eye for detail, and you have an interest in visual storytelling. So if you give us a wide variety of work, we can see a breadth of skills that you have. But if you're submitting work from the same class, try to limit down to just 2 pieces per class. Because I know some classes are great at producing portfolio pieces, but if you have, let's say, 5 of your 10 submissions from the same class, it will seem that you don't have enough works in other areas. All right, preparing portfolio for illustration. So the portfolio page, this is the structure that I was hoping you guys would make, is that you'll create a cover page and 25 examples of your work. Make sure they're all the same size. So create a template first and then drag the artworks into them, so that you don't have a PDF where like one page is really small and one page is gigantic. So the 25 examples include 5 prerequisite classwork from your 100 level core classes, 10 finished personal artworks or classwork, and 10 sketchbook pages. So please format them into one PDF document and upload it for your application. So like my colleagues have said, no AI generated work. Also, we discourage fan art, master copies, or collaborative work. It's not that they don't hold value is just that in your portfolio, we want to see your abilities and your skills. So please use these naming conventions, your last name, first name, dash TDA or dash illustration portfolio.pdf, etc. Cool. Oh, right. So the cover page, nothing fancy is really needed. You can just give me a blank page if you want. A lot of students kind of used a color that they liked to kind of accent it. You can find a template on what is it, PowerPoint if you want that you like. Kind of like me and Kathy did, where we matched our presentations. Please use just a legible font to make sure your name is really large. So here you can see Norman Rockwell is applying for us. Yay, he's gonna get in for sure. He's pretty cool. So for your 5 prerequisite classworks, thanks, Eric. There are one example from each one of your 5 prerequisite classes. So that's Art 103, 104, 107A, and 107B, and 117. For these works, we kind of want to see that you have some kind of understanding in composition, structure, light. And by that, we are talking about light means color and value, right? Light and shadow logic, bounce light, etc. With composition, it's important that you're able to give us a focal point, a hierarchy of information. Maybe your placement and arrangement of your objects and elements are make sense. And structure talks about proportions, volume, perspective, and anatomy. So try to demonstrate your technical skills in drawing and painting. Drawing especially because drawing is a very important foundational skill that's valued not just in illustration, but in game art, in animation, any entertainment. So let's talk about your finished works. So please select 10 examples from all your finished artworks. These should be the best works you've done. I don't know why you wouldn't submit the best works, but please keep that in mind. That's very important. So you can do these either in your class or from your personal artwork. It doesn't really matter. Give preference to your those that demonstrate your abilities in composition, structure, light, anatomy, imagination, observation, and maybe even a little bit of graphic design. The reason why we like a little bit of graphic design in illustration is because even in illustration, we value those skills of presentation. So if you're able to lay stuff out really nicely on a page for your concept art, or if you're able to have a little bit of type with your editorial illustration, those will open you up for many more venues within illustration. So you can look at all of these and see where you may be lacking and fill those gaps with other pieces. Any form and medium that may be broadly found in illustration is acceptable. So that includes even 3D. If you make little clay models or little clay figures and you photograph them, that used to be a very classic illustration style. But it's not as popular nowadays. But if you have something like that, that's great. If you have paper cutouts, collage, whatever, anything you want, you can submit it as long as it's focused in illustration. So here I included some sample pages for you of how you can break down your portfolio. I know 10 pieces sounds like a lot, and if you don't have a lot of what is it? A lot of direction, maybe that you may be lost, and you'll end up submitting things that may not work to your advantage. So here I broke it down. You can have 2 observational works that show me form, volume, proportions, details, texture, line weight, rendering, realism. These are all very valued. A bonus if in these observational works, so let's say a life, like a still life study, that you're able to show some understanding of perspective, color, value, and light and shadow logic or anatomy. The next section is 2 figure drawing pages of short pose gestures. So if you're able to show anatomy, proportions, gesture, and your sketching or observational ability, that's really valued. A bonus would be if you're able to include some kind of acting, some expressions or folds or drapery. Why short poses? Because a long pose works more like an observational drawing rather than a short gesture drawing. So those are different. The next 2 pages could be imaginative or concept design works like character design, concept art, environment design, prop design, anything like that. what we're looking for is you're showing creativity, shape language, form language, or color language. A bonus is, again, perspective. If you do a little bit of visual development, any kind of page layout or presentation would be nice, or anything that has interesting or attractive styles. The next section, it would be narrative works. So images that tell a very specific story within one single image. So here, if you're able to give me some storytelling or composition or point of view, or acting, or even staging, that would be great. A bonus would be, again, perspective, because perspective is just so valued by everyone. Light and shadow logic, atmospheric perspective, or even bounce light. Like I said before, I'm a huge nerd in bounce light. So if you have a lot of bounce light and reflected light, I would really dig that. And then the last is just two of your choice. So I would love to see anything that's stylish, that's fun, that has a little bit of your soul in there, a little bit of humor. Or if you know an industry closely and you want to include things of industry relevance, that's also great. It shows that you have a wide understanding of domain knowledge within illustration. Very cool. So here I have some student works that I want to show you guys. These are great examples. Um, so here on this page and the next two pages, I have observational drawings. So on this page, what I really like is most of the works here are just line work, but the lines are done really well. There's a good variation in line weight. There's a lot of texturing, and all of these are very realistic. So a bonus would be if you showed me some perspective, kind of like this one on the left, or even the one on the right. I'm hoping to see some kind of form as well. For example, the shoe has a lot of volume that you can see. On this next page, there's a lot of digital paintings or digital or just drawings with with a full range of values. So these are also valued by me as well. Uh, Pun intended. So here you can see, there's just, sorry, I don't know why I'm being so wacky tonight, but here you can see understanding of lighting, both in the, or in all of these, but mostly in the digital painting. So these are cool observational studies that you can show me that you're able to capture realism really well. And this last set, I have a bus drawing. Those are always very valued because it shows your understanding of, um, what is it? Your light and shadow logic, your control of value range. And here in this bus, it even shows a little bit of understanding of facial anatomy, which is great. And then here on the right, this is just a really painstakingly rendered image that is very impressive. So these are all student works from the past. Here, the next section would be figure or gesture drawings. So here, you can see I have um, gesture drawings that demonstrates a lot of motion or movement. Um, right now, a prerequisite for, or not a prerequisite, a lower level division class for illustration is life drawing for animation. So that class is fantastic. You'll learn lots about animation and you'll have a lot of great works to put in your portfolio if you take that class. Here you can see these are good examples of hands and feet that show a lot of structure. On this page, I have some of the best hands and feet practice I've ever seen. I love these just because of how solid the construction is, how much three-dimensional form that you can feel with each of these. And the sketch is, of course, done really energetically. So there's a lot of line weight variations. And I have, what is it, 10-minute poses on the right with musculature overlays. So if you have understanding of anatomy, you can overlay major muscle groups on a body. Those are always very nice to see. And this last set, I have some draped figures. So if you have works, like let's say you do cafe sketches, or you have other figure drawing classes where you have clothes figures, those are really cool to see. Drapery takes a lot of practice. And if you're interested, you can study up on the types of drapery. And on the right, I have uh, sequential gestures. So if you're taking life drawing for animation, you might have some of these as well. And these are always nice to see so that you understand movement, you understand placement, you understand perspective. Next up, we have some imaginative or concept works. So with these, we're mostly looking to see that you're able to create realistic portrayals from your imagination. So here, a focus on shape language or form language is valued. So you can see on the top right, we have some like studies of faces from photo, but then the artist then later made changes to facial proportions and played with those shapes. And the results are much more interesting than just a regular study. And here we have some examples of concept art as well that came from everyday objects. So these are always cool to see. On the right, bottom right, we have a demonstration of perspective, of visual development, um, and really good line work. Bottom left, we have some material spheres. So if you have those from illustration B, which is the digital illustration, those are always nice to see as well. So here we have more concept art. You can see we have character design, creature design, environment design. And if you have thumbnails that you would like to show as part of the finished work, if you are able to lay it all on one page and make it look really nice, that's always very valued. So presentation, layout, those are cool to see in a portfolio as well. Oh, I have more concept art. So these are environment concepts. I forgot I had this page. Here I have a little isometric environment done in Adobe Illustrator. So if you did some of isometric stuff or what is it, Adobe Illustrator stuff from 363B, digital illustration, then you are welcome to include those as well. Here in the next section, I have some narrative works. So in these, so illustration, one of our major focuses is, or major foci is single image narrative. Sorry. So if you're able to tell a really complex, interesting story within one single image, then that's what we really value here in illustration. In fact, we have one whole class dedicated to being able to do that really well. 363C, which is digital narrative illustration. So here you can see these students were able to include a really complex story that the audience can understand by just looking and studying this one single image. Here for the narrative, you're also welcome to include some sequential art. So here I have some webcomics that students have done. I also have some editorial illustrations, which is another really, I guess, really old industry within illustration that's still alive and kicking and hires a lot of our students. Here on the right, so this is where illustration may differ from the other programs just a little bit, is that we also discourage fan art, but if you are able to create something new that's not represented from the original IP, the original intellectual property, then it may be something that we value. So for example, this person did like a little graphic novel cover of Pokemon. Pokemon itself is a game, and it's really not seen this way. And this person told a really complex story of one of the main characters in Pokemon Black and White. And so the result is quite nice. It is pretty impressive. Cool. So it doesn't have to be really complex. For example, like this cat, there's a lot of story just in this very simple painting of a cat from the expression, the gesture, and the prop that he's holding. And then lastly, I got some dust jackets and narrative illustration here for you. So these also tell a great story. If you're interested in doing any kind of narrative work, welcome. You're welcome to submit to illustration. All right, so that's all the finished works, those 10 pages. So next up, we're going to talk about the sketchbooks, which is also 10 pages. So please select those sketchbook pages that excite you the most. Find examples that provide some insight into the kind of art that you love creating. Show me your interests, show me your style, your creativity. If you do sketches digitally, that's totally fine. Most illustrators, they draw and create work digitally now. So for sketches, what we're looking for is trifurcated. That's a kind of a big word, but it means that we're looking in 3 different like ways. We're hoping that you give us 3 different types of sketchbook pages. There are 3 ways we use the sketchbook as illustrators. The first way is to study the complexity of life around us. So I could ask you guys if you've ever seen a bicycle before, and we will all say yes. But if I tell you to draw a realistic bicycle from memory right now, it may stump some of us on how the framing works and how that may look, and we'll have to kind of figure it out. Why that is because our brains are terrible at storing visual information. We store only the most basic idea of what a bike is so that when we see it, we recognize it. But as illustrators, we have to draw the complexity of life around us. And the way we can memorize all of that is by expanding our visual bank, is by drawing it one time. So if in your sketchbook, I can see that you're studying many different things around you. Anything that looks cool, that captures your interest, you want to sketch it down, that's a great sketchbook page. The second thing we do with our sketchbooks is to solve visual problems. So in illustration, we do many iterations in terms of image development. I'm sure that's the same for any other major. So I'm sure in game art and in animation, we do many sketches before we land on a winning design or a winning composition or a winning cinematography. So think of it like scratch paper for a math test. You're not going to get it right on the first time. No one ever does. No one comes up with a winning creature design from Dark Souls, let's say, by just drawing from their dome the first time. And then they're like, yeah, this is it. You know what? I worked really hard today. So what we do is we draw it over and over and over and over, and we try to make it better each time until we finally, maybe on the 10th try or the 20th try, we have something that we are proud of. So if you have something like that, you have iterations that helps you solve a visual problem. I like to see that. I want to see how your mind works if you made the right decisions. And then the last thing we use our sketchbook is just for fun. We have to draw a lot within the confines of what our client wants, within the confines of what our teacher wants, within the confines of what we think we should be doing, so that it's fun to sometimes just let loose and just draw things without the cage, right? Without any prompt. So if you see someone, if you want to draw your friend really weird, have really long proportions or huge eyes or whatever, all of that is great. That contributes to your unique style. And we would like to see that in your sketchbooks. So you should not have any finished art in this section. Sometimes I get submissions where students think, don't impress me by calling something that looks finished a sketch. We're not impressed by dedication so much as we're trying to look for your understanding of foundational skills. So here I'm looking for your understanding that you're able to sketch, you're able to ideate, you're able to draw really quickly, and be able to have fun and introduce a little bit of your soul into your works. Cool. You can collage a bunch of sketches into one page, but like Jordan and Kathy have said, we encourage quality over quantity. So 10 really awesome, amazing sketches by themselves is very impressive. 10 really amazing sketches and then maybe like 25 other not so amazing things, like whatever things, that's not very impressive. It'll make us think, well, did they just luck into the 10 really awesome ones? Is that really representative of what they're like capable of? So show us only the best. And then lastly, we have an artist statement or interest survey. It's a 500-word essay. We ask you a few questions like, why do you think illustration is a good fit for you? If you know any illustration industries and careers, and which ones are you maybe interested in? What are you trying to accomplish by graduation? What are your professional goals after graduation? Who are your 3 current illustrators that you consider your art heroes and inspires you? And what do you like to do for fun outside of drawing? Do you have other hobbies and favorite intellectual properties that you want to talk about? Cool. So answer those questions is very easy to write 500 words, but please proofread, because if you don't, it makes it really terrible for me to read them. And then some of you guys asked for the in-person drawing assessment. This is a nightmare of the past. There will be no more in-person drawing assessment required for illustration portfolio this year. Okay. If you have any other questions, If you have any other questions regarding the portfolio, you can meet with us and schedule appointments with us, but just know I can only give general advice, kind of like what I did today. I can't go into detail and say, oh yeah, you know what, submit these few pages, you'll definitely get in. That's not okay, right? It's not equitable. That's nepotism. And usually that comes with a heavy bribe. So you're always welcome to reach out to your other illustration professors that are not in charge of the portfolio review process. So anyone but me. So you can ask them for advice on your artworks and overall advice about your portfolio as well. If you have any technical issues, you're welcome to reach out to Charlotte. She's really awesome. All right, that's it. Thank you. Good luck.
Awesome. Thank you, Hunter. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so basically, we're just gonna open it up for a Q&A if you guys have any questions. Otherwise we'll wrap it up. So, and thank you, Kathy and Hunter and Jordan and Eric and everyone coming out to help. So any questions out there?
You
Looks
don't
like
have to
there's
ask these questions in the chat. You can
yeah.
unmute and ask.
I'll read it out. So I made it, we got a couple. So it's like if Julia, if you have multiple paintings of the same subject, just done in different ways, and they work as a set, would it be wise to separate them on pages or have them on the same page? I think this was to you, Hunter. It was while you were talking.
Okay, it's probably better if they're on the same page, if they work as a set. Otherwise, it may count as two. And I'll be like, do they not have enough works? Why are they giving me the same works from the same project?
Okay, and then there's the next one. I made a graphic design commission, quote unquote, for my previous college's program. They asked me to make a few pieces for them. Some are unused. Can that count for my illustration portfolio?
Yes, of course.
Cool. All right, anybody else?
I have another question for the entertainment animation portfolio, if
Sure.
that's okay. Yeah, I just want to ask that I know that it was kind of touched on that it's okay to have not unfinished work, but work that kind of shows your draft lines and kind of like the process of it. I just wanted a little bit more clarification. Like, it's okay if some of our works isn't complete, even for like the creative parts, or do you want them like fully complete and rendered? Because that's another thing I've seen some people ask, like, does it have to be fully rendered in, or does it have to be in some parts not?
Kathy, you want to handle?
Sure. So generally, we're fine with work if it's not 100% rendered. So because in animation, we're focusing on the structure quite a bit. And so sometimes people are studying the structure. So I would say now so examples, let me see, I'm going to open those examples again. Hold on a second and show those again. Find those. Like the Blakes were pretty finished, and that was impressive. Blakes were well presented, and sorry about that, I closed them, so I'm opening them again. Releases. And I don't think, like a lot of these do not have fully rendered pieces, but they are showing a lot of very good work. And let me get it says.
Kathy and Jordan, Kathy, while you're pulling that up,
Sure.
a question came in, says, is there a certain time limit that you would want for animated videos, or like 60 seconds or less?
Yeah, absolutely. And put your best stuff up front.
Mm-hmm.
But because we're not gonna, if it's not good in the first 3 to 5 seconds, we can't watch it. We don't have time.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but this is like the reality of the studios. You've got to wow us right off the bat. We're probably not going to be able to watch more than like 10 or 15 minutes. What you want to do is you want to put something on there that right away we want to see it. And we're like, oh, I want to watch this more. I'm going to watch this for 20-second, even if you don't want us to say, you know what, we don't have time. I can already tell this is not strong enough. But if you put something on there that's really engaging, to be honest, there have been some pieces where a student did put a whole minute on, and it was really good. And reviewers will watch the whole minute because it's very engaging. So as a general rule, we don't have time to look at a lot of work. So whatever you put your good stuff up front, and I'd say up to a minute is fine.
I agree.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
did.
because that is similar to how a lot of professional demo reels or storyboard reels or what have you would be in the industry. It's no longer than a minute, maybe 2 minutes at maximum. And we probably will not have time to watch everybody's 2-minute reel if they put that in. So yeah, keep it short, keep it sweet, put your best stuff at the very beginning. Question, are animation/demo reels mandatory for the EAA portfolio? No, they're not. They're encouraged because it can help show your individuality, but no, you're not required to have one.
Yeah, and I did open those portfolios again. So let me go ahead. I'm going to share this again. So like rough drawings. So these are nice, but not necessary. You know, these are nice, but not necessary. These, you can see we're seeing the thought process and getting into, now this shows the student is making efforts to put a nice presentation. So this is great. You know, we're seeing nice presentation, the turnarounds. I highly encourage turnarounds. Now these are final line. They don't necessarily need, in fact, final line, I would be honest, I'm kind of going to discourage final line on turnarounds and details like stripes. I'm going to discourage that overall because we want to see structure more. And sometimes people will use details to disguise what they don't know. Or they will, you know, put a lot of, oh, I'm going to put these really cool colors and really cool stripes and cool this and that to cover up that I don't understand structure. We're looking for more structure. So, but these are nice. These are really nice. These are a nice presentation. What Blake did. So here we're seeing a lot of exploring, right? We're seeing exploring, and that's great. We're seeing Blake is exploring, but also Blake took the time to do some really nice creative pieces, and this is really nice. So that helped to boost his portfolio, because the other pieces weren't as finished, right? But he's showing, look, I can also present work really nice too. I could make nice presentation. But even here, like we are seeing some of the underdrawings. We're seeing how he's thinking through it all, right? We're seeing the red underlines here. So I hope that's answering your question. Is that answering it, Elias? Is that making sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think what Luis did too, these are in creative expression. There's a variation. He's showing that he's working towards making things more finished. This is nice, you know, this is showing a nice presentation, but not all 3 pieces are all colored, right? So that's okay. You don't have to do everything totally colored. Presentation is important so that we're seeing, you know, it's easier for us to look and see what you can do. And we don't want too much. So less is more. Your best stuff. We see Luis actually, I think, has like 4 pages here, but they're all really good. I figured right. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all really good. So that's fine. Observationally, he's got 1, 2, 3. That's fine. Creative expression, 1, 2, 3, 4. And he put a lot on each page. So we get an idea and we can see where the students' strengths are. We can see where the students needs to work a little more, but we can see that the student is working towards improving. I hope all these answers are helping, because I know we're not giving a specific, you have to do like this, this, and this. We want to see that you're figuring it out and learning and looking at your own work and seeing what you're good at too. Show us what you're good at. We want to see how we can help you. How is this concentration going to really help you? And I hope that helps answer some of these questions.
All right. I saw a question up earlier that was a little bit harder to type, so I'll just talk about it if that's okay. It says, are we allowed to draw abstract art for illustration this semester? If not, can there be aspects of abstract art in our finished works? For example, abstract backgrounds, but stylized characters. So characters and then abstract background, that's fine. But normally abstract art is not really part of illustration. So abstract art is more like fine arts or conceptual arts. It's it would be part of drawing and painting, I guess. Basically, abstract art and other conceptual art, they pose kind of a question, but illustration what we do is we try to provide an answer. So it's slightly different in what we do. So when our clients reach out to us, they usually have a very specific problem they want us to solve. And so if we give them abstract art, it may not solve their problems. Usually illustration is an amalgam of commercial art that doesn't go into any of the other majors that we have on campus. So no animation, game art, 3D, graphic design, but everything else that deals with clients, that deals with providing some kind of service regarding or relating to visual arts, it's within illustration.
Okay.
Does that
Oh,
help?
sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think there's a question at the end for EAA, at the bottom of the chat. Oh, never mind, Kathy.
Yeah, I just answered, would it be okay to have multiple character design sheets from different stories I made in one page to show variety, or should I just pick one? You can put multiple, that's fine. Don't put anything that weakens anything else though. So if you have multiple story ideas and some are more thought out, or you are stronger than others that you feel stronger about, and then you have some that are kind of, well, I sort of have this idea, but I'm just gonna, I haven't really reworked this character design, and I don't put it in. If it's something that's really good and you have multiple of these really good ideas that you want to show, you can put them on the same page. You can put them on different pages. But again, keep in mind your reviewers don't have a lot of time. So you're just going to want to present your very best work. And everybody is coming from different directions. Sometimes a student will have spent a lot of time doing animation classes, and they've got like a really great 1 minute, very funny or very creative, beautiful animation reel. And maybe their creative expression drawings aren't as strong. You find what you have. Excuse me. We want to see what you have that you feel proud of, that you feel good about. So that's one of the reasons things are not totally strict and set. But you're going to need to make judgments and decide, what am I doing that's really strong here? I hope does that help answer that?
Yes, he should. Thank you.
Then you got two more EAA questions after that from Tina and Jaden.
All right. For EAA, in the figure and life drawing sections, would fully colored costume figure drawings be obscuring from showing our construction of the anatomy? You tell me. What kind of drapery do you have there? Are you covering up that you don't really understand proportion? So you have a big, big, huge, I don't know.
Sheet ghost.
Yeah. You tell me. So you can put in costumed colored things if you feel good about it. but also show, we want to see that life and figure drawing. We really need to see that. So your costumed, they may be more in expressions. If some of your costumes are kind of more creative, like expressive, those might go in expression. We don't hide what you don't know. We'll know that. Show us what you're doing. And if that means taking a little more time to really hone your skills more, I would do that. We're no nonsense, and it's a lot of commitment, right, Jordan?
Yes. And then Kathy, there was another question, is 3D animation okay to put for creative works in EAA?
Yeah, I think that would be fine. We've had students do that too. But at the same time, make sure you're putting everything else that's required in. So actually, let me ask, because I'm not sure that I understood that question. 3D animation meaning like demo reel. Is that what that question is? I think that's
Yes, they said.
Yeah, sure. A 3D animation, computer animation demo reel would be fine to include if you feel really good about it. Figure drawing resources, yes. I think some of the books that Jordan shared, and I think Hunter put some information about non-instructed workshops, right? Let's see.
Yeah. I tried to add links to each time you guys were talking about something that are in the chat.
Yeah,
So if you
so
scroll
I
back up
think
through the chat,
there's
you'll see them.
some information in the chat. And again, I refer to Vilppu figure drawing. Drawing from sculptures can be worthwhile. If you go to, I think the Norton Simon has some great sculptures that you can draw from. So the question about, Sophia, figure drawing resources, taking classes is really important. Learning construction drawing, figure drawing for animation specifically is important, but a lot of times you might only be able to take one class, then practice, keep practicing. There's a lot of good online information. Again, I recommend, I'll put in the chat. I'm going to put some names that you can Google search. Glenn Vilppu is one. He may have some free info. Ron Husband has some good information. Walt Stanchfield. It's all coming to mind now that I'm typing. Walt Stanchfield. These are, you can find some good free resources online. Who's he? Oh, Andrew Loomis. Everybody, Andrew Loomis got some free books online. So I know Ron Husband has some good videos on sketching from life. Walt Stanchfield has a book. Andrew Loomis has some books. Glenn Vilppu might have some videos, but some of these people also will have like a one-day seminar. I'm going to put Carl Ganas in here too. And Steve Houston. I think Steve also sometimes does these one-day seminars where even if you just go one day on a weekend and you absorb all of this, I don't know how expensive they are. There's also some great resources. CTN, I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. CTN in Burbank. I'm typing in, and let me look for their link. Some of our students have been going to the CTN, that stands for Creative Talent Network. They have a conference annually, but they're open year round. And sometimes they have drawing workshops and you get to network. I know some of the students here have really benefited from that. So let me see if I can find their page, Creative Talent Network.
I got you, Kathy.
Eric posted it.
Oh, thank you, Eric. Great. So they do things a lot of times free. So that's a great resource. They're heavy into the drawing. Trying to think. Yeah, so I think that should give a good start, directions to look through. Does that help answer that question? That was Sophia's, right?
Hunter, do you want to, was there one in there you wanted to answer?
Yeah. So Sophia said yes, thank you to Kathy. So Julia asked, for illustration in regards to sample page slides, is that a recommendation for how we arrange our works in our PDF? Or is it the required way? Would it be okay include more narrative pieces over other categories, for example? That's a great question. Yes, you can include more from one category over another. Just remember the last two are your choice. So you can include more in any specific category if you want. Try not to have everything from one category that you're missing the other ones, because we want to see if you have all of the required foundational skills, not just one of them. Of course, if you're not like quite there yet, if you feel like, oh, my work is not I'm not happy or I'm not as confident with my work, don't worry about it. You have 2 tries. You can always try the first time. And if you don't get in, you can always talk to one of us to kind of get some sort of a generalized feedback on how to improve for the next time.
Okay, I'm also sorry. I'm going to put another link in here real quickly. I just thought of another one. Sheldon Borenstein. I think he maybe, I'm trying to find people who are accessible, because I know sometimes some of the classes are really expensive and it's hard to learn this, but I think Sheldon might also have offerings. Some of the community colleges too. I think there's some really excellent figure drawing faculty at some of the local colleges.
I should say also, a lot of these books we've mentioned, you can get them at probably a local library or Fullerton's library on campus. But also a way that I have consistently been able to find PDFs of textbooks is through the Internet Archive. A lot of times they will have just PDFs uploaded. Sometimes they have an unofficial library system where you can digitally check out a book. Obviously, it stays on the website. You don't have to download it or anything, but PDFs of books nowadays are easier to find than ever. So if the cost of these books is a factor, the Internet Archive is usually my go-to in terms of finding those quickly.
Awesome. Awesome. Anybody else have a question out there? Okay. It's 9:04. Thank you everyone for coming by, and I appreciate all the faculty coming in this late. Y'all are awesome. For everyone that's applying, follow up. If you have questions, you can email us, set up an appointment on TightenNet. And we look forward to reviewing your portfolios.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. See you later.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Good luck.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so